So a lot of us struggle with, achieving the things that we want or creating the type of life that we want simply because we don't feel that we're worthy. We don't feel like we have the right to exist. Now, when I say like you don't feel like you have the right to exist, that may sound really, really crazy. But if you stick with me, you begin to realize specifically what I mean as we really begin to break this down. You struggle to achieve the things that you want, or you don't go for the things that you want because you don't believe that you're deserving or you don't believe that you're worthy. And sometimes you can be in a position where you don't believe that you're worthy, but you don't know that you don't believe that you're worthy, right? Because you're not necessarily aware of it just yet. Like I talk about this because I've lived this way, right? So we're going to break it down. So the first thing that we need to understand is like this is all falls under the umbrella of self-esteem. So when we talk about self-esteem, what specifically is self-esteem? Self-esteem. So the simplistic definition of self-esteem is just the way that you feel about yourself at any given moment in time. Now, the way that you feel about yourself is going to be largely contingent on the way that you're living, right? So the way that you're living is going to have a large influence on the way that you feel about yourself. So if you're doing the things that you should be doing, you stick to your word, you live in line with your truth, right? You're not cutting corners, you're living honestly, you're going to feel good about yourself. You're stepping outside of your comfort zone, you're going to feel good about yourself. But if you're not doing these things, you're going to feel bad about yourself. You won't, like, you can't, it's unreasonable for us to, like, believe that we should feel good irrespective of how we're living. Your decisions, the things that you do will largely influence the way that you feel about yourself. Now, of course, self-esteem is going to fluctuate because, the way that you're living sometimes will fluctuate. Sometimes you do the right thing, sometimes you won't. And the way you feel about yourself will reflect that. Now, when we break down self-esteem even further, we've got to understand that there are two key components that make up the way that you feel about yourself, right? Feeling good about yourself. So when I talk about self-esteem, the first component that builds up self-esteem is the belief that you can handle the challenges that life brings to you. So we call this self-efficacy. So the belief that you can handle the challenges that life brings to you. So it's your confidence in your ability to learn things. So if I was to put you in a situation where like you didn't know any of the answers, you're completely brand new, you're completely job run, you're not trained, would you be confident to feel like you'll be able to figure things out? That's what self-efficacy is. The belief that I can figure things out. If you've like done it enough times, or you put yourself in new environments and you figure things out, you feel confident, you feel good about yourself. So that's the first component that makes up self-esteem, self-efficacy. Now, the second key component that makes up self-esteem, which is where a lot of us struggle, is a thing that we call self-respect, which is the feeling of worthiness, the feeling that I am deserving, the feeling that I have a right to exist. Because if you get this right and you get to a point where you feel like I have the right to exist, your life will transform. And it starts off in small things. We first of all have to understand that we want to take up the identity of the type of person who feels that they are worthy and that feels that they are deserving. Now, behavior and your beliefs go hand in hand, right? A person's beliefs will always be manifested through their behavior. So you can tell a lot about a person based on the way that they're living. The way that they're living will indicate to you the way that, the beliefs that they hold about themselves. We interrupt the video with a slight infomercial. Guys, if you're enjoying my video, like, comment, and subscribe. Support your boy. Okay, back to the video. Now, you normally struggle in this aspect, in this area of life, feeling undeserving, because you normally be treating yourself as though you are unworthy. And it's in these little small things that reinforce the belief that you're unworthy or that you don't matter, that you don't have a right to exist. I'll give you guys an example. These little small elements of self-betrayal. It's like this. Let's say you go to a restaurant, right? And you order a cheeseburger. You're like, you know what? I want a cheeseburger and chips. You order it. The way it comes back with a chicken burger and chips. So it's not specifically the thing that you wanted. And in that moment, you have a decision. You can either decide like, oh, you know what? Let me like say something and then get these guys to correct it. Or you can allow it and you can be like, oh, no worries. It's no big deal. I like the chicken burger anyway. And then you eat it. Even though deep down, you know that's not the thing that you wanted. In little small moments like this, you betray yourself. In little small moments like this, you reinforce the belief that you are undeserving. You reinforce the belief that you don't have the right to exist because you didn't stand up for yourself. So in these little small elements of betrayal, it's kind of like this. It's kind of like you're in the supermarket and there's somebody in your way in the aisle. You can go up to them and say, excuse me, please, can I get past you? And then you go past them. Or alternatively, you can be like, oh, doesn't matter. And then you walk the long way around just to avoid asking them, right? That little small moment is a small element of self-betrayal. You didn't go for the things that you wanted because you didn't believe that you were worthy, right? In a sense, you're kind of avoiding conflict because in life, everything is conflict. Every little interaction has an element of conflict when you're asking for something or when you're asserting your needs. Now, it's important that you start picking up on all these small things and you really make the effort to assert your needs or make sure that your needs are met or you ask for your needs to be met. It's extremely important. Now, you don't necessarily have to be perfect. So it doesn't have to be like, I get my needs met all the time. I always do the right thing. I always stand up for myself. You don't have to be perfect all the time, because if you feel you're undeserving at this moment in time, more often than not, you probably don't do it consistently. Right? But what we want to do is we want to improve upon this, because it's more so like a majority rules, because belief comes from behavior, right? And your beliefs will be reinforced based on, the behavior that you display. Now, for you to have that identity change, you just need to do the right thing more often than you do the wrong thing. So it's kind of like when you're voting for a president in an election. 100% of the population don't have to vote for one specific person for the person to become the president. It's just a majority rules. So you want to focus on getting it right more often than not, because in doing so, this will continuously reinforce the belief that I matter, that I'm important, that I have a right to exist. As you continuously do this, your life will transform. And this is something so simple that you can almost overlook this, because you can tend to think that, for my life to transform, it has to be a big cataclysmic change. I have to do 180 everything. You don't. You just have to improve small little increments, small little aspects of your life. So that means that you no longer tolerate disrespectful relationships. So if you're in a relationship and somebody's being disrespectful to you, you leave. You staying reinforces the belief that you don't have the right to exist, reinforces the belief that you are unworthy, that you are undeserving, right? Beliefs matter. These small decisions, these incremental decisions matter. It's all, every decision you make is like a little vote into the ballot of the type of person that you're going to become. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to get it right more often than not. So that's the idea for today. So if you feel that, you feel like you're undeserving, you feel like, you don't have the right to exist, you feel like, you don't matter, it's these small decisions that will make a difference, because you do matter. You are important. So that's the video of the day.